Welcome. Today we are looking at how to write an effective oral presentation. Today we're going to go through a checklist looking at how to write an introduction, effective body paragraphs, and a conclusion. So firstly, how do we write an introduction? And what is the purpose of an introduction? You need to have an introduction when beginning your piece. The introduction uses lively and engaging opening remarks. It introduces the topic in general and the background information. It then moves to clearly state what your main contention is. That means what is your opinion or your stance on the topic. Lastly, it serves to outline the key arguments that you will make during this speech. Here is an example that you can use to model your work off. Imagine you are thirsty, so you drink a cool, refreshing liquid that is vital to your survival. Now imagine that you have paid for that drink, even though you could have gotten it for free. And imagine the container you've drunk the water from is made of deadly chemicals that can seriously affect your health. Now imagine that when you throw the container away, it will kill animals and contaminate the environment for hundreds or even thousands of years, long after your thirst is quenched and you and I are gone. Well, you don't have to imagine it, because that's what happens when you buy, consume, and discard a bottle of water. Waste creators, devils of the environment like this one I hold in my hand, need to be banned. We can see here the different colours mean different things. The yellow is the hook. This is the lively and engaging opening. It also contains some of the key arguments. This person has embedded it this way. You don't have to structure yours this way. You can choose to put your arguments anywhere in your introduction, but just keep in mind they do need to be there. Also included is a really clear opinion. They want water bottles to be banned. You want the person to walk away after hearing the introduction and be able to tell someone else what is their stance on the topic, what are their key points, but also to be really interested to hear more. You need to also be creative in your language. Because you don't want to copy this exact example, here are a list of other possible techniques that you can use to make your opening interesting. You might start with an anecdote, so a short true story to grab the reader's attention. You might start with this is your issue statement and use inclusive language from the beginning, calling for action from the very start. You might pose a question as your opening statement or a startling or shocking fact. We've just seen an example of how to create a mental picture. Or you might start with a bulletproof argument, some type of obvious statement that people simply cannot rebut against. So try to make sure that your piece is different to the model using some of these hooks. What you need to do now is you need to draft your introduction. Use your plan to assist you. You shouldn't be doing any more researching. You should use this checklist to help you organise your writing. Do you have a hook to start with? Have you given some background information so we can understand this topic better? Because your audience might not know. Do you have a clear contention? And have you in some ways signposted your 3 supporting arguments? Once you've done that, you can ask your teacher to check your work. Please make sure that you have checked it first though. Once you've written your introduction, you may begin writing your body paragraphs. You should have 3 or more body paragraphs. The reason that you should have 3 or more is because every paragraph links to a different argument. You shouldn't be overlapping in any way. If you're moving on to a new idea, then you move on to a new paragraph. Let's look at the key features of body paragraphs before we read the sample. So each body paragraph expands on a supporting point and has a clear topic sentence. The topic sentence should tell me what the point of this paragraph will be. You need to have a minimum of 3 paragraphs. Each paragraph, as I said before, should outline a different argument. Each paragraph needs to have some evidence, either a factual example, a statistic, a quote from a famous person, or anything else that you have researched. In addition to having that research, you also need to include a mixture of persuasive techniques to engage your audience. This means rhetorical questions, anecdotes like short stories, emotive language, appeals, inclusive language, repetition. This paragraph should be a mixture of fact and your persuasive voice. Throughout the paragraph, you need to also explain and justify your evidence, always coming back to what is your main point? What would you like us to believe? Let's have a look at the model. Disposable plastic bottles contribute to the slurry of plastic waste that contaminates our planet, kills our animals, and harms ourselves. So I know from the start that this is not just about plastic bottles, it's about waste and environmental waste. Then I move on to my evidence. According to research published on the respected journal PLOS One in 2014, more than 5 trillion pieces of plastic collectively weighing nearly 269,000 tonnes are floating in the world's oceans. The plastic causes damage throughout the food chain as animals ingest the plastic and then ingest each other. According to the website of environmental organisation One World, One Ocean, once plastic ends up in the environment, it never goes away. Thus, disposable plastic bottles should be banned. The reason that this is such an effective paragraph is because it has the facts from PLOS One and One World, One Ocean, but it also uses those techniques, like the repetition of our planet, our animals, and ourselves. It also comes back to the contention at the end. We need to ban plastic bottles. You should use this structure when organising your piece of writing. We can see another sample here in body paragraph 2. Because the person now wants to talk about BPA, so this is a type of chemical that impacts people who drink from plastic bottles. Because it's all new information and a new point, they have started a new paragraph. All the information about chemicals impacting humans is going to be in this paragraph only and not in any other paragraph. You can pause here to read this on your own. The rest of us will move on to body paragraph 3. Body paragraph 3 again is on a new point. This time, I wanted to point out a couple of other things that you can do to make yourself more convincing. Firstly, when you're giving facts and statistics or expert opinion, it's always good to say where that came from. For example, the CEO of Clean Up Australia. By referencing where this person came from and their information is from, it adds more credibility to your speech. The other thing that you can include, either within your body paragraphs or in a separate paragraph, is a rebuttal. A rebuttal is where you acknowledge the counter argument and then speak about why someone who supports the opposition would be wrong by making another point of your own. This again will make you seem more reasonable. Let's have a look at what this person has written. Why not just recycle the bottle, you might ask? It seems like a good solution. But while recycling is important, it alone is not the answer. According to Terry-Ann Johnstone from CEO of Clean Up Australia, less than 30% of bottles are recycled in each state. So what can we do? We can cry, we can get mad, we can write pithy slogans on bits of cardboard and march down the street feeling righteous. Or we can do something constructive. We can use alternatives to plastic where possible to reduce the amount of noxious materials in the environment. We can ban the sale of drinking water in plastic bottles tomorrow, or we can stop buying them today. But maybe I haven't convinced you yet. Maybe you think I'm an alarmist. Maybe you don't believe that plastic is bad for your health. Maybe you don't believe that the environment doesn't need our help. Well, then maybe you care about your wallet. This is a nice transition into their final paragraph, which we will get to in a moment. The requirement of this task is that you write 3 body paragraphs. At this point, I suggest drafting your body paragraphs using this structure. Do you have a clear argument to begin? Do you then use some evidence to support your claims and reference where that information has come from? Do you use a range of persuasive devices like rhetorical questions and repetition? And at the end of your paragraph, do you come back to your contention? Once you've written at least 3 body paragraphs, you may move on to some extension or show your teacher your work. To conclude, or to extend yourself, you may wish to write a rebuttal, and everyone needs to write the conclusion. This person decided that they had an extra point and they wish to talk about the fact that bottled water is expensive. If you wish to add another point, that is completely fine as well. Everyone, however, needs to write a conclusion. The last couple of lines on this page reflect the conclusion to the speech. Your conclusion should summarise what your main points were without being too repetitive. You should restate your opinion and ensure you have a strong final statement. You want to leave a lasting impression on your audience. For example, not buying water in a plastic bottle can save money, save the environment, and save your health. Don't buy plastic. You can start that today. Banning the sale of plastic bottles may take a little longer, but we should do it. Future generations will thank us. Thank you for listening to my speech today. To finish, look back at your piece of writing. Either within one of your 3 body paragraphs, add a rebuttal statement, or add a 4th rebuttal paragraph where you acknowledge what the opposition may say and you discredit them with another point. To finish, you do need to have a short, sharp conclusion. Please make sure that you've completed this and show your work to your teacher. Our next session will look at how to present your speech in the most effective way possible. If you have any questions, you should aim to speak to your teacher. Remember that by doing a draft and getting some feedback, your speech will continue to get better and better. So let's get writing.